On this episode, Dude and JD sit down with Mike Hinds from Nashville Barrel Company as we break into one of their latest LTOs called The Compromise. So sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy this episode of The Bourbon Hunters.
While you're listening, head over to our website at bourbonhunters.com where you can purchase Bourbon Hunters glassware and products, and sign up for our Patreon, which puts you on the list for single barrel announcements from our private barrel club.
Gather round. It's time to unwind. Drinking our bottles, all that we find, with tastings and tales, we're sharing our pours. Tune in each week, there will always be more. Tune in each week.
Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I'm Dude Poole, and I'm joined by
JD Fritchers.
And today we have Nashville Barrel Company on the podcast with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Mike Hinds here, Nashville Barrel Company, co-founder and the chief bourbon guy.
The chief bourbon guy. I like that.
Is that your handle on social media?
It's on LinkedIn. That's what it says, chief bourbon guy.
Is that what it says on your cards too? Because that's what I would just have.
Yeah,
Chief
absolutely.
bourbon.
Actually, we definitely lean into it. We don't take titles seriously. It could also say janitor on there, and we do it all.
I think
That's
Macaulay
awesome.
copied off of you. That's why he went chief alchemist.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's Macaulay's is a legend in the making right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their stuff's coming out of there. It's pretty impressive and pretty creative. I like a lot of the stuff they're doing back there. So, pretty good stuff. We've never had you on the podcast before, so we're going to try to give you as much time as possible to just kind of talk about your brand, talk about your products, anything you want to talk about that is coming out or anything like that. Feel free to drop that throughout.
Okay.
But as always, during our podcast, we like to have a drink, and generally that's going to be of something from the person that we have on the podcast. So you've sent us something. Do you want to tee that up for us, JD, and get it in the glass? And then I'll let you go ahead and introduce that to us, and then we'll go ahead and start some questions after you're done with this.
Wonderful. What you guys are pouring up and what I sent is actually a sample of The Compromise. The Compromise was actually, Fred Minnick does his top 100 blind. And 2 years ago, we sent in our core items and we placed number 2 and number 4. The year before that, we placed number 4. So this year we had launched this rye and bourbon blend, and it was the only item we really sent in, and it performed really well. Out of 100, it placed in the top 16, which was really fun. We actually, I was at Fred's book signing last week in New York, and we had this with 5 others that performed a little better, but in a blind and at the bar, the whole patrons preferred this over the other 5 that were in that same mix. So that's always good. But what makes this blend special of The Compromise, it's the first time we've ever blended a bourbon and a rye. But what we did, sometimes when you blend, you're trying to blend out something that's negative, right? I mean, a lot of times you don't take 2 of your best ingredients and put it together. Usually you're trying to figure out, this needs a little bit more of this, so let's blend some of this with it. Where this was 2 of our most popular runs that people know from our single barrel program. And James, had this idea. He's had this idea for a while, and he finally brought me a sample that he kind of did. He goes, "What do you think about this?" I said, "Man, that's a good compromise." Because we waited. So after James, the master blender for 3 years, kind of wanted to do something, and we compromised and did it. So that's how I got the name. I don't think anyone's even asked because it's a brand new product.
That is awesome. I read about the compromise. I was telling him, when he said you were sending us something, I was like, "Oh, is he going to send us the compromise?" And he did. I don't think you'd known what it was yet.
Nope.
And I was like, "Oh, it's their bourbon and rye mix or blend." And I said, if they send that, I said, I'm going to be so excited because I love we've had a Boo Rye on the High West Boo Rye that they make. John Wadle from
Experimental.
gave us an experimental.
Not a product, though.
Yeah, it was just an experimental bourbon and rye mix or blend. I keep saying mix blend that he had put together, and I mean, anytime I've had one, I've just really loved it. So when I saw the announcement of that and knew that you were sending us something, I was hoping that's what you were sending.
But yeah, it's always, absolutely, it's always fun. So while you guys sip it and nose it, what this was is a 50-50 mix of 9-year single barrel MGP from a Kelvin barrel that were almost 10, and 7-year experimental OZ Tyler 100% rye as well. So the great thing about this is these are two ingredients that are kind of, you can't replicate either. MGP doesn't really use Kelvin barrels anymore, and they haven't in 9 years. And you get some really big, bold flavors. So they don't make that anymore, or they don't do that barreling or use that cooperage. And on the other hand, you've got OZ Tyler that hasn't done this 100% rye.
Yeah.
And there's none that are 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. I mean, like, this is the only batch that they did of it outside any contract distilling. So these are two real ingredients of stuff that's not being made right now, which makes it that much more fun, right? Like the only time we'll do another one of these batches, but it's just going to be older, even more old, right? So it's not blending 2 4 years or a 4 year and a 6 year. Our youngest thing that will be in this is right now was 7 years.
That's crazy. That sounds outstanding.
I need to touch on James for a second because he's kind of a legend in my house. The best rye I've ever owned and had is the James the Godfather 11-year single barrel. And I need to find him to see if he's got some backup that I can maybe buy one from.
Yeah.
So give us. We mentioned the two main ingredients here. We've got MGP. Everyone knows what MGP is. Not everyone knows what OZ Tyler is. So give us a little, insight into that. How did you come across it? And if for those of you who don't know today, that's from the site that is now Green River. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so OZ Tyler, back in their Jacob days, it was a distillery up there in Owensboro, and they tried some things that weren't real successful, or the bourbon community didn't rally behind. They did like a ultra aging technique that seemed gimmicky to some. Didn't get much love, and I personally wasn't a fan of their ultra aging technique, but to each their own. But they were doing some good things beyond that. When the Priskers bought Bardstown Bourbon Company, one of their first acquisitions was the OZ Tyler plant, and they named it Green River and brought back the Green River brand and label. So OZ Tyler or Green River now is owned by Bardstown Bourbon, and they're doing, obviously they're dumping a lot of money into everything, and we're excited to kind of see where they're going with some of their new products. But this is one that they've discontinued, and they never really continued when they purchased it. So 100% rye mash bill is not easy to deal with, right? There's nothing to kick off fermentation. It's a dirty grain. It's an expensive grain. So I can see why any distillery would want to not participate in 100% rye mash bill. There's a lot of work, but boy, when you taste it by itself, and even in this, you kind of wish that they'd keep going with it.
So full disclosure, and for me, and I think most people who listen know this already, I'm not a huge rye fan, but I do enjoy high rye bourbons, and all the bourbon rye blends or boo rye or whatever you want to call it. I know that's probably trademarked, I assume. But all of those that I've had so far, I've really enjoyed. And for me, what I tend to not like about rye is when it becomes very dill forward. So that dill flavor, and I've explained this so many times, but I love dill pickles, love them, but I don't like dill flavor in my whiskey, and I don't know why. Now, what I don't mind is a hint of it. A hint of it is great. Like that's just like just kind of a where it just subtly it's almost there, but it never blossoms into like a full dill flavor. I really enjoy that. And so my favorite ryes that I enjoy, like Michter's, different things like that are just pure rye whiskeys. That's generally what I like. This on the nose, I'm getting a little bit of mintiness. I don't know what all you're getting, but I'm getting kind of that baking spice that really kind of comes through and amplifies in a rye, in my opinion. But I'm getting some of that sweetness that's underlying all of this. That's really nice. I dove into and tasted it because the nose was good, so I just didn't want to wait. And I get that little subtle hint of dill. It's not like it doesn't bloom or anything into like a full-fledged dill. It lets you know that there's rye there. but some of that bourbon's shining through as well. So I'm getting, I'm going to have to keep going back for some more hints of it, but I'm getting a really good experience. It's the mouthfeel on this is outstanding. Like it really coats the tongue. You can feel it evolving. I've only had one drink so far, but you can feel it evolving down, back the tongue as it travels the tongue. It's hitting all the notes. I just don't know what they are yet because I've only had one sip, but first impression. So
I think dude's making a bigger deal out of this than he needs to.
Gee, they'll have to edit that out. Bad joke.
So when I nose this, to me, it's like a fresh batch of cherry strudels coming out of the oven.
There was a fruit I couldn't figure out. That's it.
It's got the
cherry.
icing drizzle on it, and it's just like a cherry pastry
with that sweetness that's coming through with it. Yes, that's a good call.
It smells delicious.
No, it does. The smell was so inviting. That's why I couldn't wait to just jump into the taste. Yeah, that's a good description. Have you tasted it yet? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, it's very viscous, a lot of layers to it. It's complex. The finish, you kind of get the rye a little bit on the nose, and then kind of on the finish as it lingers. Mm-hmm. Not really dilly. I'm like you. I'm not a big fan of dill in my rye. I like more of the mint, or even the old Wild Turkey Christmas. Kind of rye. The thing about rye is that they do turn. You kind of have to drink them, especially as they age, because you can go from a nice mint to dill.
What I'm getting, by the way, that's actually what I'm getting. That's hinting at dill. It's a nice like fresh mint, and that's great. And that may be the difference. I think you just made a light bulb go off in my head. I think that's the difference between what I like in a rye and what I don't like in a rye. And I think it's that, to me, and I think you described it perfectly. It's like a fresh mint, not quite a dill. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So get a little of that spearmint. It's got and the thing I love about this, it's. You definitely can tell there's some rye that really gives it some body and some spice, but you still get some of those dark fruitness and sweetness from the bourbon too. It really plays well with each other.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. I'm really enjoying this. I've had 2 sips now, and that second sip, and this is what we talk about this all the time, but I love when a bourbon or a whiskey can tell a story. So what I mean by that is you sit down with it, and throughout the night, it evolves. In like you said complex, but I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just trying to make it sound fancier by telling a story. But yeah, like I feel like every time I sit down and drink this, it's going to taste just a little bit different. It's going to evolve throughout the night, and that's a type of bourbon that I can just sit down with and continue to drink.
This is the kind of pour when I sit down with, I'm gonna have a hard time wanting to pour something else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to go back to it,
right,
and then back to it
instead of trying something else later that evening. You're gonna go back and have a second pour, a third pour. Yeah, no, I agree.
No, you knocked out of the ballpark with this one.
Yeah. This is really good.
We're super excited. It was only like an 8-barrel batch. It did really well. I mean, within a couple of days, James was like, "Man, I told you it should have been more." Just because after it got out, and obviously even after a little bit of Fred love, but it's kind of our first LTO besides a core item. It's our first real blend that we've done, and we've been around for 5-6 years, so people were really excited to try it. And I'm already kind of excited about version 2.0 later this year.
Oh, a little hint of things to come. I like that.
I can see why Fred really liked it, because the profile and the depth of it really does hide the oakiness that comes with age. And so you get a burst of sweetness, and then you get a subtle bit of the oak on the finish, but it really hides it well.
Yeah, no, I think it's well balanced. And I'm like you, if you see the bottles behind me, I've got, tons of all the brands. But whenever you get something like this that makes you want that second pour, so you can keep pulling back the layers of the onion, if you will, that's when you know that it's something special.
So you may have mentioned this, and if you did, I apologize. What is the proof of this?
It's 122.6.
I would have never guessed. I was thinking like 110, honestly, like 111, something like that. Mm-hmm. Wow, that drink's well under its proof. This dangerous, very dangerous. No, the more and more I sip of this, the more sweetness is coming through on the front of the tongue. And now I can't get past it. Now I'm getting mint. Like that's exactly what I couldn't put my finger on that wasn't dill, and it's mint, and it's nice. It's crisp. It's clean. It gives it almost like a fresh, it makes me want to drink this on like a like a spring day where it's not quite, the heat hasn't really grabbed a hold of the year yet. It's just kind of trying to break through, or like in the fall when, the summer's trying to hang on, but you're getting really crisp nights, and you want to just go out inside and have like a bonfire or something. I feel like this would be perfect for something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm already, looking forward to the last few colder days. Now you've said that.
I mean, it's warming, but it's not like it's that mint gives it this like freshness that makes you just kind of feel like, I don't know. I'm getting all nostalgic, but like almost like renewal, like the beginning of a year, or even like, again, I know that's two opposite ends of the spectrum and I'm contradicting myself, but almost like the leaves on the ground, like that feeling of fall. I get that in this glass as well. It's kind of weird. It's nice.
What quarter of the year were these barrels dumped and blended?
This is the very end of last year.
Do you find there's a best part of the seasons, or the best time of the year to actually blend and dump barrels?
So I guess there's math behind it. We just kind of go by what we know, and obviously in the wintertime when the barrels get real cold, they kind of do. You get a little more oak on them, right? A little more from the barrel where it tightens up and pushes some of the liquid out. In the wintertime, you can sometimes get an extra gallon or so, or half gallon, between a couple barrels, because it's literally just tightening up. So you do get more of that oak and some of those tannins that were pushed out. Now in the summertime, some of the higher proof whiskeys, it's a little more times are acidic, if you will. Every barrel is different, but I think you can tell. I don't know if it's the weather in the barrel or just when it's 95 degrees outside, you taste more of that. It's, the science says that it's pushing it out of the barrel, so you're tasting it different. But, if it's 100 degrees outside and you're drinking barrel proof whiskey outside, it just doesn't taste as good sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
I agree with that completely. I'm going to forget if I don't do it early. So want to get to a couple of our listeners' questions, just because, like I said, we're going to get down a rabbit hole. We're going to become organic, and I want the structured part of it to be at the beginning.
And I was supposed to bring one of these bottles with me tonight, but I forgot. I was supposed to bring the Nash Tucky 10-year rye.
He was also supposed to schedule this for 6:30 apparently. And
you guys need a third partner that does all the organization.
Well, that's normally me, but he's the bartender of the group that gets all the relationships going, and so I'm just kind of letting him run with it. All right. So the first question is, what is the general recipe for the Nash Tucky blends, and how do the bottles today compare to those available a couple of years ago? And then a follow-up question to that is, what are you looking for in terms of taste profile for those barrels?
That's a really good question. So what it started off being in the blends and bottles for the small batch are different than today. When we first launched Nash Tucky, most of the single barrels were Kentucky distillate aged in Nashville. That was kind of the name for the Nash Tucky, right? It was Kentucky distillate aged. The first run where we actually did a small batch of our first small batch Nash Tucky, though not single barrel. I believe was actually Indiana whiskey, even though for that label, we didn't have any Kentucky stuff that really blended well together at that price point during the COVID days. So what we have now, though, every Nash Tucky is going to be, for the last year, is all Kentucky distillate aged in Kentucky and in Nashville for a period of time. So the source right now of the core items, like there was 2 years where we sent in the Nash Tucky small batch bourbon to Fred Minnick, and it hit number 4 both times, 2 years in a row. And people were like, "Man, I don't know how you did that. Do you pay someone for number 4 because you got it twice in a row?" So, but what that was is that the base of that was Heaven Hill.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Heaven Hill, I think I can say that. The base of that was
Mevin Schmill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's from a hill in Bardstown. So that was the core. So once people understand that and try it and you taste it, you go, "Oh, now I see why this did well," right? I mean, it was 122 proof. 117 proof Heaven Hill at 6 and 7 years old. How could it not have been good? So I think that was the base, and that's actually in the base right now still for the small batch Nashtucky. I'll kind of go ahead and just add one more to it. We're with our new spot, and I know we'll get to it, where we actually have another brand we're launching that's going to be kind of more of that history of, it's going to be all aged in Kentucky, distilled in Kentucky, and aged in Kentucky, just our version of it. So Nashville Barrel mainly is MGP, Kentucky, every other source. Nashtucky is all Kentucky now.
Oh, wow.
So with that inaugural, it was from Indiana. Did you consider calling it Indianaville?
What's funny is that there's a bunch of mashups. When we did this, we're like, well, maybe we should also create another brand called, Kentuckyana or Indianville or whatever. And then you realize there's 1,000 possibilities you could go off of. So, it was, we liked how Nashtucky just kind of rolled off the tongue.
Yeah, that's a good one. We use that a lot, actually. So I know that like Nash Vegas and Nashtucky and just the follow-up question to that, though, was what are you looking for in the terms of taste profile when you're trying to, select the barrels and make those for the batches or small batches for the blends? What are you looking for?
That's a good question. We always just look for what we like. Before we started Nashville Barrel Company, we kind of had a good following of people that followed our pallets for either our charity work or just our single barrels before NBC. So, we like that big and bold. But one thing that we have to play kind of a line to now in our small batches is, we already play in a niche market, which is barrel strength, right? I mean, most people that aren't, probably not listening to this podcast, but the most consumers, they love their 86 proof Jack Daniels or maybe even their, Wild Turkey, 101.
Right.
Or Basil Hayden, right? I mean, the Basil Hayden sells hundreds of thousands of cases because it's, it's really approachable because anyone can drink it.
There's fans there somewhere.
Yeah. So not many that I know, but I know.
Not me either.
But so when we do that, so, we have to be kind of cognitive of the proof. So in our single barrels, we love big, bold, the layers, really unwrap it. Yeah. When we go to do a blend, we really try to, look for something that might have a little more sweet notes, right? Something that's a little more approachable, because what we really see is your enthusiasts love big proofs. They love single barrels. They really love to dissect a barrel and dissect the sister barrel and talk about the differences, right? I mean, that's the fun of what we do. But that's not everybody, right? So we keep the single barrels like that. We don't do a 100 proof single barrel like Four Roses or Jack. But when we do the blends, we try to lean towards, a little sweeter, but still has, I say lower proof. I think our lowest blend ever has been 115. So, it's not that we're going super low, but we try to make it an entry level or more approachable.
Sure. That makes sense. But as far as taste or anything, are you just going batch by batch, nothing specific as a theme, or what are you looking at there?
Well, so with our core items, after the Nashville Barrel Company, hit Fred's number 4 2 years in a row. One was actually with NBC, one was Nashtucky. You understand that obviously when people are going into the websites and they're trying to find the show, we've kept that recipe, or at least the barrels we use, pretty consistent for the last 2 years, right? I mean, you don't want someone to buy a core item that they said, oh, well, a version of this was ranked really high, and they go buy another one and it's a completely different selection of barrels. So, we really keep that pretty tight that way that, if you like that core item that you can, the next one's going to be pretty damn similar.
Well, that's good. Okay. So, I mean, that answers that question. So I have a Passover question. We got one that says, ask whether it's boxers or briefs.
It depends. If it's in the summertime, it's boxer briefs.
There you go. That's the right answer.
Yeah, boxer briefs in the summertime for sure.
Well, I set that up. We have an episode that we do every Saturday that's called Bourbon Brief, which is just a quick 2-minute hitter of history and information and stuff like that. So I liked his little play on the bourbon or briefs and now our bourbon brief. But
that's great.
So real quick question here. How do you choose which barrels to blend for your small batch products? And are there any special upcoming releases or exclusive bottles I should look for? Now, Compromise 2.0, it sounds like you mentioned that already.
That'll be coming out. So the first part of that question is, it's the story I love to tell is we're really known for our single barrel. We call them, it's the 9-year, they're turning 10 now, but the 21% MGP rye mash bill and the Kelvin barrels. We started bottling those as single barrels when they were 5, but that wasn't what the goal was. We tried them when they were 3. We really liked them. We bought a shit ton of them. And then at 5 years old, we decided, let's revisit it and do our first small batch project. I was out of town and James gave me a call. He goes, I got good news and bad news. He goes, the bad news is we don't have any barrels for the batch. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, the good news is these things are so incredibly good. They need to be single barrels. So that was a pleasant surprise, right? Because all of a sudden, and we still have these now. They're turning 10. So for 5 years, this has been one of our horses for us, and they're really good. So sometimes what you think you might use, once you get in and taste them, it's not it. When James does his blends, though, he would test every single one, and he'll do little micro blends, as you can imagine, of that recipe before we just dump, 8, 12, 15 barrels, just to kind of make sure. But usually, you're looking for stuff that plays well with others. I mean, you don't want anything that's it's got the tannin showing and the oaks over showing. You don't want that because a little bit of that can really change the whole profile of the batch. It really doesn't take much salt, if you will, to make the soup salty.
Right.
So he'll really try to find things that play well together. And a lot of times, a lot of that is because we use sister barrels from the same source. They've been aging close to each other. So we know that a lot of the characteristics are the same.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you come across a honey barrel, as they say, air quotes, honey barrel. How do you define a honey barrel when you're sourcing whiskey? Like, what is it to you that makes it a honey barrel?
It's that one that, we've been doing this for a little bit now, and, we test and taste every day different stuff. That one is when you get it now and it completely coats your mouth. You're like the one that can impress someone that drinks every day for a living. And when you taste it and James runs to the office and he's like, you've got to try this. When James is excited, usually I get excited because, that there's something good in that glass.
That's awesome. So I know we've talked about, some just questions from our patrons. Did you have any questions real quick before I jump in?
I'd like to know what inspired you to start Nashville Barrel Company and your roots and where you come from.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a great question. So many years ago in 2013, kind of, was collecting bourbon with, some OGs around Nashville, and we were doing bottle shares and all that before, right when you could still walk in and buy Weller 12 on the shelf or Pappy, right? I mean, it was towards the end of that time. I have like most guys, I have a kind of a collective addictive personality, if you could say. So at one time, at one time I was one of the largest Jack Daniel's collectors in the United States. I had thousands and thousands of bottles, and everything from Germany and Australia exports and the old decanters. I mean, I'd get in my car and just travel around, and once I hit almost every bottle that was acquirable. I said, well, let me go start trying other whiskeys. And every day I'd get in my car and I'd go drive around and literally I'd buy anything on the shelf I hadn't seen. To try it. And then, through that process, just because, you collected all the Pokemon cards of Jack. So now I'm like, well, what other things can I drink and collect? So that's kind of how I started this massive collection. And then we're really known for just sharing. And then kind of got tired of bourbon, or got tired of not tired of it. I got kind of, felt like what else could I do? Right. What else is exactly burnout. So I started using, bourbon and single barrel picks from other distilleries to raise money for cancer research. And that all started. I was going to do a Russell's Reserve pick, and a buddy of mine that was supposed to be on the pick had to cancel the night before because he went to the doctor and found out his cancer came back. At that same time, one person that I worked with that was almost like a mom to me had cancer come back for the second time. So as I was driving in, I was like, man, fuck cancer. I was, it was a sad kind of time. But then we realized that when I was there, I'm going to use this barrel to raise money to help donate for cancer research. And that's kind of when I started F Cancer, and we ended up doing, I don't know, 4 or 5 different single barrels over a year and a half where I was using it to raise money for charity. That's also kind of how I got connected with Pat Heist at Wilderness Trail in McCauley. And if you go into Wilderness Trail and you look up at their gift shop, they've got a wooden box, Wilderness Trail, and it says F the ribbon cancer.
You can use the word if it's
fuck cancer on the box.
We're explicit.
And that was something that him and I worked with. That was one of my picks I used to help raise money and bring awareness to Wilderness Trail. So they still, even to this day, have this box that I did in their gift shop. So while that was happening, bourbon started getting real popular. And I met James at a liquor store. He managed one of the biggest liquor stores in Nashville. And he's like, Mike, if you want to start running the barrels through here, I'll take the state minimum. That way more goes to charity. And I was like, well, that's super cool. So then we started picking barrels together. He had some great relationships as well. And then one day we had some of our guys at the big distilleries call or say, hey, guys, the barrel program's tightening up. What we used to be able to do 6 months ago, we can't do anymore. They're putting, they're reining it in, right? The bean counters are basically limiting what we can do. And they're kind of giving us a heads up like, hey, the barn stalls used to be open, but now, we're being watched, if you will. So at that time, James and I were like, well, if this is going to get tougher, maybe we should buy some barrels so we can keep raising money for charity. And so we went out, and I came home to my wife and say, hey, look, me and a couple guys are buying like 14 barrels of bourbon. And at this time, she's seen me do all kinds of silly things. So this was another one in the hopper, right? I mean,
whatever.
Yeah. She's like, this guy's got more. I mean, everyday packages were coming in for bourbon. And she's like, whatever. And then so these barrels came in, and we were real excited, right? I mean, we were still working full time at our jobs. The barrels came in, we tried them, and we're like, man, we can't sell these because we didn't know. I mean, at the time we didn't know, how to play the game. So we all kind of got together and go, we need different barrels. So I came home, I told the wife, like, hey, we're gonna buy like 40 barrels of something else. And she's like, what are you gonna do with those other ones? I'm like, well, we're just gonna let them wait. They'll come around. So back into the savings account you go, right? So we buy 20 barrels of a rye. And that rye that we bought, we still have a few barrels left of it now. End up winning all these double golds for the first 3 years. And the first 2 years of our company, we sold nothing but rye. But James went up to Galena for, I believe, a whiskey weekend in Galena, and he brought 20 samples. And he came back, and everyone in the bourbon community was up there. Our friends that had groups, and he goes, I sold 14 of those 20 barrels off samples. And I go, okay, well, I guess we need to get a label, and I guess we need to figure out how to do this. So it really kind of started organically, and it really wasn't as a business as much as let's do it to raise money for charity. And it kind of evolved to the community got behind us, and here we are today.
That's awesome.
It's fascinating.
So what's your actual background? Like, how did you, so, I mean, you were collecting Jack and all that, but like, what's your background like professionally?
So I was logistics and marketing for an electronics company. So I did a whole lot of online stuff. So basically, sales and selling stuff and marketing it, and I think that's kind of what bourbon is right now. You have to market it and sell it. So it was an easy transition because I loved bourbon. I kind of knew how to navigate and do website and SEO. So even today, all day long, I was on the computer most of the day, working on our new website for the new company. So it's
Hold on, you said new website for the what?
For the new brand, the new company. So we are. It's kind of official now that we're opening up in Louisville in about 3 to 4 months. and the name of that's going to be the Louisville Rick House. So we're gonna, it's going to be by Nashville Barrel Company, but Louisville Rick House is going to be our Kentucky identity.
Nice. You almost slipped that past me, and I was like, wait a second. New website for the new. I was like, wait.
Yeah, you caught the dart.
I did. So my history in all this, and it's not anything nearly as exciting as what you just talked about, but I got into this, pre-COVID, just before COVID started, and so still a newbie for all accounts. I mean, compared to you, 2013, 2012, whatever. But I joined. Like immediately I was in lines waiting at retail shops and things like that. And then a buddy of mine was like, oh, you should join a bourbon club. I was like, oh, I didn't even know what that was. And so I joined Bourbon Enthusiast, who's done a few picks through you guys, which I've gotten every one of them. And then Mash and Journey, which, I don't know if you know Jason or not, but
oh yeah, they've done 7 or 8 picks.
Yeah, so I've had a few of those as well. He's on our podcast all the time. He's just a few miles away from us, but
nice.
Yeah. So in fact, he's coming over tomorrow. We're gonna,
right.
Yeah. But that's how I got introduced into the world of single barrels, was through bourbon clubs, and then I mean that changed my perspective significantly in the way of hunting for bourbon. I mean, I know that there are still people, and I still, if I see something, I'm still going to go buy one of those, tater type things where it's something that everyone's been coveting or whatever, like the BTAC series or different things like that, Michter's 10, whatever. If I see them, I'll buy them if it's reasonably priced. I'm not going to go crazy. But really, what caught my interest was these single barrels, because some of these single barrels that I've had have been better than some of the just regular retail offerings that people go crazy over.
Absolutely.
And I picked one Friday that was outstanding.
Yeah. So, I mean, he just went to Old Louisville and did a barrel pick. Yeah. And it was an MGP, but it was a weeder, and it was 8.5 years old. And it reminded us of a William LaRue Weller.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. It was so good. And it was 133 proof. It didn't taste anything like that. I mean, what I found, and what I'm trying to get back to with you is what I found is the single barrel is often overlooked by some of the new people, but I think the people that are really getting into bourbon and have been into it for a while, kind of like when you got, bored or whatever you want to call it with the Jack Daniels and the, doing all the collecting and stuff, is you can find something unique in a brand that you really, really enjoy. And everything I've had from you guys has been just outstanding. And I know that you're sourcing, but you have to find them, you have to pick them, you have to let them age and decide when they're available, or, when they become, right to be bottled or available as a single barrel. But, there's still some art to that. There's still some, intelligence to that, but also you just have to have the right taste, the palate for that kind of thing. And I think everything I've had from you guys has been outstanding. I haven't really ever had a bad selection. OHLQ has done some picks through you guys. Like I said, Mash and Journey, Bourbon Enthusiasts, everything I've had has been outstanding. So this is my, build you up part.
Well, thank you.
And we're hoping to do a pick with you in April or May.
Yeah, that's our goal. Yeah, is coming down there soon.
That'd be great.
Bang bang like you guys and maybe Jack Daniels or something like that in the same weekend or something, but yeah, I think your story's awesome. I love when something either starts or ends or is somehow revolved around charity. And the cancer, I think we've all had.
Well, Jared Record has a very good story about how he started Barrel King with his daughter, and she had brain cancer or a condition of the brain and passed away.
Yeah.
And that's why he started Barrel King.
Well, I mean, there's just everyone knows, if not multiple people, someone who's been affected by cancer. Either it's ended like that, or someone who's beat it, or but it always, no matter when you hear it, who it is, what type it is, it's an oh my gosh moment. It's never cancer, you'll be fine in 2 weeks. It's always okay. You're going to basically have to dig in for a fight. So any type of charity or any type of company that has, really heavy ties to charities to do with cancer or anything like that always catches my attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's always a noble thing. When you can take your revenue or part of your revenue, a portion of your revenue, and you can, just turn around, and it's easy to just put that in your pocket. I mean, but to turn around and commit that to a charity of some sort, especially something that affects pretty much everyone, like cancer, I think that's awesome. So good on you for that. And I think that's great. I know we're 40 minutes in ish. We've talked about the compromise.
Yep.
We've talked about Compromise 2.0 a little bit, hinted at it. We've talked about the new thing, the new thing happening in Louisville. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're really excited about that. That's
the ETA. What are you guys hoping for?
We're before Derby, so about 4 months, 3 to 4 months.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've been working on it in the background for 6 months or 4 months. So we finally got all of our state approvals, and so now we can kind of really go full throttle at it. We've been in the background getting it ready. And if you're familiar with Nulu, we're going to be right next to Lobo Taquita, which is probably one of my favorite restaurants in Louisville. It's a Cuban restaurant across from Evergreen.
Okay. Yeah, the liquor store, yeah.
Yeah, so Evergreen. So we're right there in the heart of Nulu.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Lobo Taquita.
I think that's where we ate. You may not have been with us that year. I think we ate there a couple of years ago on our Bourbon Blitz.
We ate at Ceviche with James.
Yeah, that was different. This is with Jason. Jason had recommended this. I'll have to ask him tomorrow, but
it's probably it's one of the best restaurants in Louisville.
Now, the one we went to, so if this is the one, it's almost like a house, and then as you walk through the house in the back, there's almost like a it
keeps going. Absolutely, that's it.
Okay, yeah, and then they have like in past that they even have like a little, almost like a fast food little area.
Yep,
right?
Yep. There's a little cigar in the very, very back. The house keeps going and going. It's a yellow house.
Yeah,
and it goes and goes. Yeah, we're their neighbors. So right next right next door to it. So I'll be there.
You need to give us a reason to go
to
you. But if you're right beside them, that place was outstanding. We loved that restaurant. That was so good.
What kind of experiences are you going to have at your location?
That was going to be my question.
So it's about 3,200 square feet total. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to have a 30-foot long tasting bar, a little retail, but then half of the building is going to be actually a bonded rick house. So the back half of it will have a couple hundred barrels, almost like Old Forester, on metal racks that are, and we'll be doing, tasting tours, experiences, and we'll be doing limited barrel picks and bottling there. So we'll actually, it won't be,
bottle type of thing, or what do you?
Bottle your own, but also you'll be able to come and pick a single barrel and we'll bottle it the same day. Right there. Now it won't be quite as many, selections as headquarters in Nashville. We keep 2,500 barrels on site in Nashville. We'll keep about 200 on site in Louisville just because it's a smaller footprint, but we'll definitely have some of our best offerings up there, and we'll have trucks going back every week to restock. So we're pretty excited about offering, our Nashville, hospitality up here in the middle of Louisville.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Maybe a May pick with us there.
An inaugural opening pick.
Yeah, we're gonna have once I get a date, I'll send it out to you guys for a friends and family opening. Yeah, if you guys want to come down, but
absolutely,
it's gonna be a really cool week.
That's what I know it's what we're talking about, but just a little bit of a segue. I love what's happening with the Whiskey Row, that downtown Louisville, how everyone's kind of there's a resurgence there. It's really amazing. Like the fact that Bardstown Bourbon Company has put, a location there. You've got Heaven Hill with their Evan Williams experience there. You've got, all those places that might be located somewhere else, but also are starting to come up there with an experience. I think that's awesome. I mean, it only adds to the draw of Louisville, for one, if you're a whiskey or a bourbon connoisseur. But if you're, located in another place, and you're trying to be in the whiskey world, Louisville's just, it's starting to make sense to be the place to be. And it's pretty cool.
Well, I was surprised. I got down there to do the Pick Friday with Amin, and I said, I'm at Old Louisville. And he goes, come to my new spot. He had just purchased the old Seagram's building.
Nice. Yeah.
So now he's located in there. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Such a neat history in Louisville with bourbon to begin with. But then, just to see everyone kind of, everyone's talking about the Bourbon Trail. They do all that. And that's great. Go from Bardstown to Frankfurt and all those different places, Lawrenceburg and everything. But Louisville now, you could potentially, if you wanted to, spend a whole weekend in Louisville and experience
Absolutely
everything there is to do with bourbon.
No, yeah, it's like it's doing the urban trail, right? And to be honest, you've already been to most of these places. After you've seen a fermenter and you've seen a water line and a big still, you can only do it so many times.
Yes.
But so now you get to go right to the fun part and trying the product. All right, I mean you don't have to drive an hour between each place. And I'll give a shout out to if you haven't been to Pursuit Spirits' new bar, Trial and Error.
Dude, in December, yeah.
They did an amazing job with their basement bar, and really knocked it out of the park.
Oh, and another one, Green River is there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Green River's
Speakeasy.
So we went to the Green River retail and speakeasy. We went to the Pursuit Speakeasy down in I think it's down in the basement. I got in an elevator. I ended up somewhere. I don't know. I assumed down. There were no windows, so
he hasn't been right since.
Yeah.
But Pursuit, the cocktails they were doing at their bar. We did a hot chocolate cocktail that was so amazing. It was December, so it made sense, but it was so good. Went to the Green River Speakeasy. You had to go in there and dial a phone number, like whatever. It was a rotary phone too. So like millennials and people earlier,
they'll never get in.
They have no idea how to get back there.
They'll never get in.
They're like, where are the buttons? I don't know.
That's great. No, so the Whiskey Row, and that's kind of what we decided too, is that, I think people are really looking for that next level of engagement. Consumers. Yeah. They want an experience. They actually want to kind of, chat more bourbon and really kind of dive a little deeper. So we wanted to make sure that we were part of that conversation.
No, that's awesome. That's great. And I think that's a really cool decision. And
we'll add that to our trip in December.
100%, because we usually stay in Louisville. We call it the Bourbon Blitz. We hit as many gift shops as we can on Friday. Then we usually stay in a city. It's become Louisville pretty much every year now. And then we do like Louisville on Saturday, just kind of, we might do an experience. We might do a barrel pick. We might go to some restaurants or bars or whatever, but it's more of just a little more laid back on Saturday. And then kind of we might go our own way because we're all close. You could Uber while someone else Ubers somewhere else. And
we do a bottle share party as well.
Yeah, and we do a bottle share party and people come up for that. And it's so our patrons this last year, we had a really good one, except for the fact that Ohio State lost to Indiana in the Big Ten championship. But outside of that, we love Louisville. And it's become a place where that's where we kind of anchor our blitz now, is that first night we go everywhere and then just anchor ourselves there for the rest of the weekend. It's really nice.
There's a hotel right next to La Bodequita, the AC Hotel, which is 2 doors down from where we'll be. So, obviously I know as a Bourbon Crusader, we usually stay at that AC Hotel in Nulu. You've got good restaurants and a lot of little small craft guys and a cool night scene. So, so you guys might want to look at that as a home base.
We stayed at there was an Airbnb. It's in Nulu, but it's a little bit further. It's by Prohibition, which is where the Nulu distillery is.
It's right
across the street.
That's convenient.
So, it was perfect. It actually was very.
They have garage doors that you can open up if it's not too cold.
Yeah, it was great. We had karaoke going on. We had a whole bunch of stuff. There's a bar there. It was really nice.
If you're in town that weekend, come on by.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sing.
We don't expect you to sing. We just expect you to make fun of the people that do.
Yeah, sorry. If it's sing for your supper, I'd be a lot skinnier.
Same here, man.
You got to do the Soggy Bottom Boys. So
it's great.
All right, so I know we kind of cut you off a little bit. So you're talking about a new experience in Louisville. We talked about Compromise 2.0. Anything else on the horizon or anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think that's kind of what we have our head down and focusing on now is the Louisville Rick House label, that brand, and that new build out.
That's awesome. Do you guys have? I know some places have like an I know you have a website, but do you have like any type of like club or anything that you guys promote that you allow people to get like first dibs on some of your LTOs or anything like that?
We do. We actually have a monthly subscription club that gets you a bottle every month plus first access plus a discount. So we keep it limited. We've always, from the beginning, we've tried to keep it below a certain number. There's always a couple spots left, but I can tell you, yeah, it's been really popular. One thing we do with our clubs like that, our monthly program club, is it doesn't matter which location you go to, and we have 2 right now, obviously about to have a 3rd. You get a free flight every week as well. So if you're in town, you can pick up your bottles. You also get a free flight. So we do have a monthly program that they can check out when they're on the website.
So that's on the website. And then what's your social media presence? What do you guys have as far as like, handles for Instagram, X, whatever else you use?
Yeah, Instagram is at Nashville Barrel Co. I believe that's the same for our Facebook. Our TikTok, we don't really promote much on there, mainly because I'm not 16. I mean, it's not that I don't appreciate the audience. It's just right. I just need to hire I guess a middle schooler to handle it for me.
Well, we don't need 16-year-olds drinking with bourbon.
Yeah, so I can't pay him in booze. I'm gonna have to pay him like in what's that, Roblox or Minecraft.
That's awesome.
So when you say free flight, does that help us get home faster?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me rephrase that.
2 jokes out of every podcast. Oh my God.
That'd be a good program, right?
Yeah. A great subscription.
we lose a whole ton on it.
But they get home
so
safe.
I nursed mine through the show. Dude's gone.
Mine's gone. It's been gone for a while.
As it opened up, I was getting a really nice sarsaparilla, like a birch beer note on it.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, once it kind of sits in that glass for a few minutes, it's not overly, but you get just a tad bit of cinnamon. You get a few more of these notes that kind of start showing up.
I love it. I haven't done this in a while just because I haven't sat with an empty glass this long in a while. But I love going back to an empty glass and just kind of nosing the empty glass. And I feel like that gives a chance for the wood to shine when the glass is empty. Like that wood note just totally comes out once the glass is completely empty and it's starting to dry. Love that. I don't know why. It's not like a tannic thing or anything like that. It's just you really start to get the hints of that wood. It's really cool. All right. Well, I know that we were a little mixed up with our time on the start here as I looked at JD. But we really appreciate you coming on. This was a ton of information. I mean, the boxer's brief question was probably the one that's going to break the internet.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, great information. Compromise, outstanding.
If you see it. Yeah.
If you see it in the wild, I mean, you're going to be a fool not to pick it up, especially if you like any type of bourbon rye blend. This is outstanding. But not only that, I mean, it sounds like a trip to Louisville is in everyone's future here, just so we can go to. And what's the name of it going to be called again?
The Louisville Rickhouse Whiskey Company.
Louisville Rickhouse Whiskey Company.
Yep.
So that'll be the name of it. They can look up on like maps or whatever else.
Yep. Absolutely. Right. Yep. And that's I said you can also just go to NashvilleBarrelCo.com and therell be a link from there as well.
Gotcha. Oh, that's perfect. That sounds exciting to me. I love
we'll be there.
Those experiences. Those have really been what I start to look forward to more and more. Like you said, every place has the this is what it takes to be a bourbon. This is a still. That's cool. These experiences are really starting to, I think, change the game on the bourbon trail. So that's a good idea. I think you guys are going to knock that one out of the park. So
wonderful. Hopefully you guys will come visit for our opening or soon after. I will keep you in the know on it.
Yeah, if it's a day we can get down there, we'll be down there for sure. I mean, we love doing stuff like that. So that's awesome. But yeah, thank you for keeping us in mind. That'd be that sounds like it'd be really fun. But thank you for joining us. We would love to have you back again, whenever you'd like, and if there's any releases or anything you want to announce. Just a fun conversation in my opinion. So thank you for your time. Again, I apologize for the mix up on the calendar. But thank you for your time. We really enjoyed this. And, like I said, you're always welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. And it was fun sharing a pour, and I look forward to doing it in person.
100%.
All right, well, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for joining in on yet another Hunt for Great Bourbon. Please give us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening, but if you don't, leave us some constructive criticism in the review so that we can better improve our show. But until then, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.
Tune in each week. Sit back. Tune in each week. Grab a pour. Tune in each week. Kick up your feet and enjoy. Kick up your feet and enjoy.
For any feedback, questions, or episode ideas, please reach out to info@bourbonhunters.com.